Tragedy Interactive presents Matter of Time. Our game takes place in a desert-themed runway where enemies will slowly progress towards your base on a mission to destroy it. It is up to the player to slow or stop them before they make it all the way. The game will consist of 20 levels or waves of enemies, each becoming stronger and more difficult to eliminate with each wave. If the player has too many enemies reach their base, the game will be over and restart anew. So once the player has successfully defended their base through all 20 waves, the player will have won and will be able to start a new game with an increased number of resources. Our demographic will include free time, casual gamers of all ages. Our target platform will be PC and mobile devices, and this will be a single player game. Defense. Players must defend their stronghold against the evils of the desert by building defensive structures. In Matter of Time, players can build a multitude of different defensive structures that take advantage of physics and geared systems. By combining gears, the player can make anything they can imagine in terms of defensive structure. By combining gears of different shapes, sizes, and tooth ratios, the player can easily gear up and gear down the powered supply. By doing so, the player can build anything from rudimentary spinning blades to entire moving platforms and projectile weapons. Bluffing. The ability to fake out an enemy in our game is very important. There are several ways to accomplish this through different turrets that the player will be able to create. It's a necessary mechanic, and the player will have a difficult experience without utilizing this correctly. Strategically creating and placing these exploding bluffing dummies is crucial, as players use them in an attempt to attract enemies by tricking them into thinking it's a friendly target. Once the dummy has attracted 4 or more enemies, it will then detonate, instantly destroying them. Players in a Matter of Time will have the ability to create many different items and assets, a mechanic that the player will need to take advantage of to remain successful throughout gameplay. Of course, players will need to collect certain resources, and by properly combining these resources, this will allow the player to create specific items they may deem necessary to have. An example shown in Minecraft, the player has come to a crafting table to create a new item. This is a strong, versatile mechanic. This will allow a player in Matter of Time to initiate this at their workstation located within their base. Scale. Scaling will be a very useful mechanic in Matter of Time, as players will use it to increase their survivability during enemy waves. As shown here, the game's scale uses this mechanic similarly, as the player controls a weapon that has the ability to shrink or increase the size of certain game objects. In Matter of Time, players will be able to purchase a special shrink ray weapon. This weapon will come loaded with 5 charges, while additional charges may be purchased or acquired from drops. Players will fire this special weapon at enemies, causing them to physically shrink in size, resulting in extremely low movement speeds. Combining is something we normally see in games that use crafting systems. Although our game features no direct crafting system, we have implemented this mechanic in a unique way. Players will be able to combine created units of the same type together to upgrade and form stronger units. So let's say the player has 2 bomber units out. They can choose to spend X number of resources to upgrade these units individually, or combine both bomber units to form a level 2 bomber. This opens up multiple strategies, as players are able to choose whether to use resources to upgrade units or use other units to upgrade while saving their resources for more powerful units. Modify. Making modifications to your defenses and surroundings is something that becomes a necessity in later levels of Matter of Time. Standard defenses simply do not perform at a high enough level to defeat enemies in the late rounds. As such, the player will need to use their resources in order to upgrade or improve defense systems and the environment. Modifications are made in between rounds. As shown above, in the game Bloons Tower Defense 5, the player activates an upgrade that increases initial resources as well as resource output. Similar to BTD5, the player must click on the mods menu on the right side of the screen to check for available upgrades. Hovering over the upgrade will provide a brief description and resource cost. 3 similar games are Minecraft, State of Decay, and XCOM. But our game is unique because it features a new form of creating units, managing them, as well as managing resources in unique ways, allowing for many different strategies that can change gameplay dramatically. Another creative feature that stands out in our game from others is the unique gear system we've implemented. Our first image will showcase a bird's eye view of a player's tower being attacked by enemies. The one below it will show what upgrading at the workbench would look like, and the final photo is a designer view on how the game should actually look when finished. While implementing the new bluffing mechanic, our first concept was centered around bluffing within trades. While the player traded and bought supplies, they could attempt to bluff for better prices. We felt that this didn't fit the theme very well, while also having the side effect of needing a trading system in place to implement a single mechanic. Instead, we decided on the ability to fool enemy units by placing deceptive dummy targets, or turrets, within the field. This allowed us to leave the core of our game mostly untouched, as well as fitting it better within the theme. With the addition of the new scaling mechanic, this allowed multiple methods for the player to defend their base and opened up a lot of creative doors for more defensive strategies. Players can choose to slow down enemies in many different ways, resulting in more dynamic gameplay than our previous design.